Hello. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome in, and thank you for being here. All right, so guys, there's some breaking news right now. I keep refreshing to make sure I'm not missing anything else. But let's get into it. Let's get into it, and I'm just checking. Can you guys? Hey, Miriam. What's going on, my friend? I just want to make sure mic check 1 2 1 2 that you guys can hear me okay. And yeah, I do have some piping hot news, guys. Piping hot news, piping hot news. Okay, let's a few days ago, let's share the screen here so you guys can see. You guys probably won't see the whole thing, but a few days ago, there was a motion filed in Aaron's case. This is the motion. And it was a motion by Aaron's lawyer to set a bond because, as you guys may recall, when he went into his court case originally, his bond was revoked. A motion to continue was denied. So they put forward this motion. Basically, it says Mr. Smith-Levin, and it gives all the information, right? Mr. Smith-Levin was arrested on the above cases and was released from Pinellas County Jail on July 30th after posting a cash bond. These are all facts. On October 23rd, information was filed and his bond was revoked. So that was the second charge that was brought against him. The undersigned, that's Aaron, is asking the courts to grant a motion to set bond in his case. The defendant prays, this court grants the bond. This is Lee Perlman, his lawyer. Okay. So what happened this morning is right here. Order denying in court. D means denied. Motion to set bond without prejudice. What does that mean? In general, guys, when a motion of bond is denied, what that means for the defendant in question, let me pull that up here. Okay. It, it basically means a judge has rejected the request for the court to establish an amount of money or conditions for a defendant's temporary release from jail before their trial. The defendant will remain in custody until their trial date, as the judge has determined that the individual is a flight risk or a danger to the community. These are just examples. Okay. Common reasons for denial include the severity of the crime, a poor criminal history, or concerns about the defendant's potential to not appear in court. Now, obviously, I'm not in Florida, guys. I'm in my studio here. You can see I'm in my home studio here. So I wasn't there to hear the court's reasoning as to why they denied this bond, or the state's attorney argument against giving Aaron bond. So these are assumptions. This is not facts, what I'm about to say. The only thing that I'm going to assume in this case, okay, is based on the facts that we know. Number one, the original crime that he's being charged with, that he's on trial for, the chalk incident, okay, they're taking that battery. It's a first degree misdemeanor. They're taking that seriously. And then he was put on bond for that. So he paid the bond. Now, part of the rule when you pay for a bond in any court, guys, I do not care the severity of the crime or not. If you are on bond, part of the conditions of being released on bond is that you do not commit any further crimes. Okay. You do not, it doesn't matter what the crime is. Okay. Shoplifting, jaywalking, a parking ticket, a speeding ticket. It doesn't matter. Any one of those things can revoke your bond. You are supposed to not do anything. Okay. Because you're basically, you're being let out. You're being charged with the crime. You haven't been convicted of the crime yet. Okay. But you've been charged with it. So now, as we know, the door incident happened later. Scientology, in that instance, definitely created a scenario in which they could trump up a crime, which I've covered in earlier videos about how we were trained, in fact, to do that against protesters. Okay. And that incident, which they then press charges, they have a victim who's pressing charges. The state's attorney filed those charges, and that revoked Aaron's bond. So now in between those two things, okay, in between the chalking and the second incident, an order of protection, which is also a big deal. Let's not forget about that. An order of protection was issued against Aaron on behalf of the original person, the chalking incident, because they're claiming that they are in fear for their life against Aaron. And because they work at allegedly various locations, Aaron then was not allowed to set foot within 500 feet of any Scientology building. Okay. So that's super like a huge deal. And then shortly after that, they filed the second motion, the second incident. Okay. So now what that means is that Aaron is in jail until his trial is over. The first date of his trial is the 18th of December, which means he'll be in jail now another month until the trial starts, and hopefully, if he gets a speedy trial, and his defense lawyer puts on a vigorous defense, he can get these charges dismissed, and he won't have any criminal record and everything else. Now a couple things, okay? On Aaron's channel, let's just bring up Aaron's channel here. Over the last few days, there's been some interesting and good content over on Aaron's channel, okay? Now a couple comments about this, okay? So the first ironically, Aaron did this 2 days before he got arrested. He talked about Anthony D'Amato being on the run from the law, and then he was arrested. Okay, so then they had the first stream 7 days ago with Nat, Jenna, and Cheryl. Okay, and they talked about what was happening. They set up the Give, Send, Go. They set up the all that kind of stuff. The next day, Friday, they still had the regular Friday night protest. Nat talked about it, and then showed Cheryl's footage and things like that. Then she did one interview with Brooks. They went over the incident. They had a completely different take on looking at the evidence than I did, and that's fine, because everybody's opinion about what's happened can be different. It doesn't make it our opinion true or false. It just makes it an opinion. But Brooks, spoke very eloquently about stuff. Now, then Marilyn did this thing. It was just more like talking about what's going on. It was a nice, fluffy stream. Lots of people tuned in. Okay, then we had this message that came in from Aaron here on his first day in jail, where he made the claim that jail is nicer than the Sea Org. Okay, and they chalked that up, all that kind of stuff. And Natalie talked a bit about that. Here's where I'm going to issue an opinion. Okay, we'll come back to these streams here in a second. I don't doubt that the conditions inside of the jailhouse are much nicer than the conditions that I was, warehoused in during my 8 years in the fake Space Navy, especially the 3 years I spent in the fake Space Navy concentration camp in the big blue buildings, right? So that's not surprising to me. However, asterisk, Aaron is in jail. This is real. It's not imaginary. It's not a hope or promise of jail. It is actually physical jail. Now it's not prison, it is jail. There's a difference between those, right? So he's in the sort of like purgatory of the prison industrial complex until um his fate is determined by the justice system. When I see statements like that, um I try to think from the opposite side, right? Like I get that. Colonoscopy, holy cow, Jennifer. Um you know, you also have to think about like you have to make a good impression upon the justice system that you're a part of at that moment, right? And I just looking at that picture of the judge that I showed you guys on the day where I was like, here's the judge. I don't think she's the kind of person who takes kindly to uh, a flippant attitude about the justice system, right? Um, so that might have been best, like just sort of kept between them. There's no conversation that's private when you're in jail, right? Everything's recorded. Everything you say and do can and will be used against you in a court of law. From the time you are arrested until the time your court date is over. Everything you do in jail is recorded, noted, and multiple people can be brought to testify against you about any of your activities in jail. So my approach, if I were in jail right now, would be very different than that. Okay. But again, I'm not in charge. These are just my emotions about what's happening. Okay. So then Aaron called and did a Ask Me Anything with Marilyn from the jailhouse. Again, this was very fluffy, very shits and giggles, very um, you know, I'm handing out ramen, okay. And then he did a second one where now it was like a total joke because his underwear and socks had gone missing. And now it was this joke about his underwear. Yeah, here's the deal. Yes, he was recorded that whole time, Lanakin. And here's how that works. Here's the mechanics of how that works. The person in jail has to be the one to initiate the call. No, I can't call Aaron. Not that he would take my call, but I can't call Aaron. So he has to call Marilyn. And just like the old days, it's a collect call. That's running her 7 cents a minute or something. Anyway, for the half an hour, it's like $7.50. They did an hour. So it was like $14 that she has to pay on her phone bill, gets charged directly to her phone bill or to a card on file for that phone call. They have access to tablets. If you get on the approved list, you are able to do like a FaceTime call. But again, that costs money per minute. I just thought, again, this isn't the best look. Okay. That's just my opinion. A lot of people loved it. As you can see, it got a lot of views, a lot of super chats. A lot of people were very excited. He sounds in good spirits, etc., etc. Okay. Then they did this live, where Brooks, who I don't know, but I did look up his YouTube, and he's in charge of the Save the Garden Foundation. And he did an exclusive interview with Aaron, a video interview where basically the point of this stream was like Brooks saying how Aaron needs to become a better leader. And here are the steps to making Aaron the best leader possible. And they debuted a new website, which is, I thought, interesting. Why is it not coming up here? What? Okay, maybe it already got taken down. Maybe I'm just putting in the wrong thing. No. Okay. I was pretty sure that they had debuted a new website, and maybe I'm just putting it in wrong. Hang on. I'm trying to find. I know I yeah, the website's already taken down. Okay. So they had debuted breaking news. They had debuted a website called stopscientology.com, and that website is down. Yeah. Yeah, Miriam, I just found that out. That's wild. So Scientology probably took that down. And it on the website, because I saw it, it was about teaching people how to protest nonviolently, and they were offering a seminar starting on December 6th. People could sign up and go to the seminar to learn how to nonviolently protest, etc. Um, and this lays out Aaron's and on that website was like an op-ed that he wrote from jail that they covered here in this video. So if you want to read the op-ed, it's covered in this video. Yeah. Then Cheryl and Eric tried to put together a gingerbread house, and I was screaming at my TV for like 20 minutes, like more frosting and frosting on the bottom. Apparently, they have never put together um, a gingerbread house. And then Kelly Copter did a very in-depth video about Lisa McPherson. And then Streets came on last night to talk with Natalie in support of him. So people are putting content up. No one has put up anything about what's just happened in court. And I'm sure they will. I'm sure they're waiting for more information. I keep refreshing here, which is, of course, the Pinellas County. Oh, I'm not sharing. How about if I share? I hit the wrong button. Sorry, guys. This is where I'm getting my information from. It's directly from the Pinellas County website, and this is where you can see that was denied, the motion to set bond without prejudice. So what that means when it says without prejudice is it means sorry guys, my voice is already going. It means that they can put that motion forth again. It's not denied forever. They also have the right to appeal. This that ruling. Okay. But for now, what that means is that Aaron is remanded to custody until his trial. Now, why is this happening? So, one thing that I would like to see, that I would hope for, because this is something that I think is going to keep going against Aaron in court. When I see people in the comments saying things, very negative things about the judge, about the state's attorney, and also about Aaron's lawyer, that is not helping him. And unfortunately, I'm not observing the mods over there like banning shit. They're not kicking those people out. And honestly, they should. It doesn't really matter if that person is super chatting or buying memberships. If they buy 10 memberships and then are like, this judge is a witch, you need to ban that person, because that person's comments and rhetoric and whooping that up in the comments will be used against Aaron in a court of law. If you guys think for 1 second that OSA isn't sitting there screen recording everything and sending that to the state's attorney and being on the phone with them constantly, you've got another thing coming. They are hot to do this. No, Aaron is not getting out today. That's You'll say something. Well, then bye. Bye, Felicia. Bye. Um, the judge does understand freedom of speech. Here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. Freedom of speech, again, please, let's understand our Constitution, guys. Please, please, please. The freedom of speech guarantees us the right, okay, to speak out against our government without fear of reprisal. It does not give us the freedom to say defamatory lies or other things about people anywhere on the internet or anything else. Okay. Um, we really have to understand that. And when anyone's on trial, okay, if anyone is on trial and that person's group of supporters is seen to be saying defamatory, derogatory, possibly aggressive, threatening things towards the members of the justice field, that's not a good look for the defendant, right? So I would suggest to Aaron's crowd, I'm not saying don't have your big fifis about it, okay? Yes, be upset that he's in jail and be upset that the state is pushing so hard about this that in the grand scheme of things is absolutely a nothing burger in terms of crimes, okay? Let's be real. It's still a crime. It is battery. Battery is a crime. Okay? The way to get around all of this and to avoid this happening is don't break the law. Whether you think that breaking of the law is a big deal or a minor deal or, no one should care, it doesn't matter. If the law is broken and law enforcement looks at your alleged crime and goes, well, that's a crime. And then they submit that to the district attorney's office, or in this case in Florida, the state attorney's office, and they look at the evidence and go, yep, that's a crime. And they submit it to the court as a crime. It's a crime. Now you have to defend yourself against those accusations. Okay. And give a reason why you shouldn't be put in jail for that action. It's really not that hard to figure out. Okay? So the way to not have this happen isn't to just do something that you don't think is a crime. Don't do any crimes. Okay? Don't do any crimes. But why is Scientology so hyper-focused on this? Why is Scientology so hyper-focused on getting rid of Aaron? Yes, this is true. This is exactly what happened with Masterson. Masterson walked into the courtroom like he owned it, like nothing was going to happen because nothing had ever happened to him inside of his own church. And the judge was like, "Not today, Satan. We're here with the law." Okay? So, we're going to go over two Office of Special Affairs policies here. And I want you guys to understand why Aaron is a target. Okay. And I'm not trying to say, oh, Aaron's not a target. Okay. Aaron's absolutely a target. Okay. And this is why. So let's go. Yeah. Guys, I don't understand comments like this. The law is a human construct. No shit, Sherlock. We're fucking human beings. This isn't dog court. I don't understand. Things like that just throw me off. I don't even understand. Okay, let me pull this one up here. So this is a policy from 1972 called counterattack tactics. Okay, and let's go over this here. Okay, this is all of the people who do the super spy stuff, who do all of the nasty tricks and everything else. This is one of the pieces of their playbook. Okay. One of the pieces of their playbook. I don't drive a Subaru anymore. I drive a Chevy Trax. Leave me be. Okay. being suppressive, a kind of word for insane, their aims are destructive. This is not limited to their fancied enemies. They are destructive to themselves and their own government or institution. Okay. So it says up here those who attack Scientology, as proven by Oxford capacity analysis graphs, which is a fake made up test by Lafayette to tell people falsely what their IQ is or isn't and what their emotional state is or isn't. Okay. Is like, oh, this channel's fake news. I don't think so, honey. I'm a real person. Scientology is the way of the world. Nah, not yet. Not yet. Okay. Criminal or shady record, personal lives, etc., are provenly suppressive. So the idea that all people in Scientology have is that anybody who says Scientology is bad, automatically the most evil person on earth. Okay? That's just there. Boom. That's all you have to do to be the most evil person on earth is to say Scientology is not good. Okay. So what are they trying to achieve? What are they trying to achieve? Attackers against Scientology located and removed from their positions of power so that Scientology can get on with it. Okay. And any threat of attack restrained, leaving Scientology a clear field. So Aaron in Clearwater is the guy. He's the guy that's organizing the Friday night, pizza party, jamboree on the corner there with Tom Cruise. And he's getting tens of thousands of views. Tens of thousands of people are seeing, hot dog, Scientology's a cult. And organically, I will say this, organically, Aaron, by doing that over the last year, has gotten more local residents of Clearwater to come out and join him in protesting Scientology than has ever happened on a regular basis there. Okay. That's just now my personal opinions on the protest value of that is irrelevant. Scientology sees an enormous threat in that activity. Okay. They see it as an enormous threat. Now, their perception of the threat is based on their staunch belief that anybody, whether you've been in Scientology or not, who says Scientology is bad news bears, you are trying to destroy all of Scientology. Okay. So what they have to do, counterattack to obtain the removal of the person with a product of dismissed attacker. Okay. Survey to find out what the person considers valuable and use it for restraint. So in this case, obviously, Aaron and all of us value our freedom. Value the freedom to do whatever the fuck we want. Okay? Avoid, where possible, the commotion and wasted energy of paralleling an attacker's own evil purpose of destroying his own government, agency, or institution, and instead discover the attacker and operate to cost him his job. What is Aaron's job right now? It's YouTube. YouTube. So if he can't go out and protest, he can't go out and protest. He can't go out and make that money. Okay? When identified or even suspected as the instigator, draw up a project which includes at least 3 channels to cost him his job. So getting him in jail is just one of the options. The other option, because as we saw earlier, right, when Aaron kept posting the L. Ron Hubbard interview and things like that, Scientology kept trying to strike his channel. Do you guys remember that? So that's another avenue. So they haven't been successful in attacking directly his YouTube, right? To try and do like a copyright strike or something like that against him. Scientology hasn't been able to do that. Draw up a second project at once and survey and discover what the person really is defending and threaten it effectively. Okay, so in Aaron's case, that would be his audience, his, everything, right? Okay. Let's go to this other document here. Sorry. Should just grab that. So this is another OSA network order. Okay. This is the strategy of Alexander the Great. Okay. For those of you of non-Greek heritage, he was a leader of Greece and conquered a lot of the world and things like that. Okay. In case you didn't know your Greek history. Okay. So we compare any type of action in which we're engaged to a battle action simply because it works out better that way, not because there's any shooting. Okay. We fight on a strategy line used by Alexander the Great. Alexander saw no reason to defeat 1.5 million Persian troops when he could clobber Darius. This was constant to all of his strategic actions. Alexander's companion cavalry demonstrated conclusively and utterly the concentrated fury and force with which Alexander personally would attempt to invade the enemy's leader bodyguard and get to him. His whole strategy was on this basis. Now, if you apply Western intelligence strategy to this, it's a comparison. What name is in common across the boards? What name appears over and over and over? And that is your boy. The enemy is not in actual fact fighting on this strategy line. He himself is sold on the idea of group, that everything is done by the group. It smacks just a little bit that he's critical of the individualistic character of the development of Dianetics and Scientology, but he is also possibly restrained by the maxim that you had better not make a martyr. Okay. But this key right here. Now, what name is in common across the boards? What name appears over and over and over? And that is your boy. Okay. So they are using this policy here, this edict, okay, to target Aaron. They consider him to be the man, the guy, the boss, the person who is the biggest threat to all of Scientology and David Miscavige. Why? He has the largest following on YouTube. He, over the last, when did his YouTube channel start? I believe it's 10 years ago now. It's been a whole 10 years. 2015. Over the last decade, he has made more content. He has 3,000 videos up. Okay. More content, more connections, more airtime, more interviews than anybody else that has ever protested against Scientology. Now, I don't want anybody to be like, oh, Nora's flip-flopping again. Now she's complimenting Aaron. Those are just facts. Now, all of those interviews, cumulative, and etc. And this is where Scientology is cuckoo. Okay, they don't understand real world impact. Okay, versus their perceived impact. Okay. Real world impact is if I were to go down to my grocery store, to any, Albertsons here, Safeway, whatever. Yeah, Safeway bought Albertsons. If I went into the Safeway and I was like, hey, have you heard about Aaron Smith-Levin? No one's going to know who he is. No one's going to know. I could ask 100 people. Maybe 1 out of 100 might be a Scientology content watcher. No national press has picked this up. It is not a story anywhere. Now, in terms of his internal impact in this group, okay, of people who fight against Scientology, who speak out about Scientology, there is definitely an impact being felt. Okay, there's definitely ripple effect occurring across this group of people. Okay, on one side, you have his ardent supporters and fans who are very galvanized at this point. to triple, quadruple, quintuple, 10x their efforts in protesting because of what they feel is an injustice occurring to Aaron. Okay. Oh my goodness. And hang on one second. Sorry, guys. Ugh. Sorry, I'm still recovering from whatever this is. And then on the other hand, people want to put me in this category, and I'm not in this category, but whatever. Everyone can think of whatever they want. Okay, your opinion is your own. I allow you to have it. On the other hand, there are people within this group of former Scientologists that may be very excited that Aaron Smith-Levin's in jail because they don't like him. He deserves it. Do I think that Aaron deserves to be? I'll give you my personal opinion right now. Do I think that Aaron Smith-Levin deserves to be in jail right now for the chalk incident and thing? In the grand scheme of things, in all of the things I've observed and been a victim of inside of Scientology, I can say right now that what I was subjected to in my 8 years of being a fake Space Navy member, the chalk incident would have been a party compared to that. Okay, it would have been a joke. And I think that's part of the problem for some of us people who have survived Scientology. Our perception of bad acts, our perception of pain, of evil, of crime is very different than sometimes what occurs in the real world, right? Our tolerance for things that are in fact criminal is very high because we were indoctrinated forcibly to be that way in our mind, right? Now, do I think in any way, shape, or form that Aaron ran up on that guy intending to commit a crime? No. 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 I think he was pissed. I think he was tired of the water and he wanted to, eye for an eye, tit for tat. Streets was bringing up last night in his thing, and I see your question here, Peter, to Miriam about the difference between Florida and California legal systems. Now, first of all, there's the California legal system, and then there's the Los Angeles County legal system, which is two different kettles of fish. Los Angeles County is one of the largest counties in all of America, and also because of that, has one of the largest backlogs of cases and other things, and they're very short on district attorneys and deputy district attorneys and things like that. So the justice system rolls much slower in a place like Los Angeles than in a small county in a much smaller state, Florida, where they are very strict about a lot of things. So you also have, this is why I say when you're protesting, you need to know the laws of the city, municipality, county, state that you are operating in, because they are different. From town to town, they're different, even in the same state. Okay? So you really have to observe those things. So in Florida, they're taking this very seriously. Okay? Yes, in Florida, they have the stand your ground laws. Now, this is something to think about, guys. Like, this is when I see stuff like that, my mind goes 85 chess moves ahead. Okay? Because that's the way my mind works. Here's what I would see as the absolute worst case scenario. Okay? As a result of any case in terms of like Scientology being able to win a criminal case against a protester, that their next move, okay, is that now they're going to claim they don't feel safe. They don't feel safe going from building to building. They don't feel safe practicing their religion. They don't feel safe being outside and going to the Starbucks and all this stuff. So what do people do when they don't feel safe? They arm themselves. Now, worst case scenario is you have 1,000 or so psychotic people armed who, by Florida law, if they feel their life is threatened, may use said pew pew in self-defense. It's a lawful act. I don't want to see that happen. I don't want to see that happen. Here's the deal. The protesters that are sitting outside of Scientology do understand what they're protesting somewhat. And that's something that I would like to see improved also, because it's something that was alarming to me, okay, was the stream that I saw on Poe on the Go. I brought up the positive points from Poe. I read out the transcript, okay? But the thing that alarmed me was listening to both Sarasota Jerry and Dusty Soda, talk very fervently about the trafficking. And why don't the police care what's going on around the corner? That's where the trafficking is happening. And that started reminding me of fucking Pizzagate. I'm going to be honest with you guys. It started reminding me of the people who I believe in their heart of hearts, they really care about sex crimes against children, right? And they were thoroughly convinced no one could shake them from this reality that there was a sex dungeon in a pizza place, wherever it was, Philadelphia or upstate New York. I can't remember where this pizza joint was, where, politicians and very powerful rich people would, call in or walk in and order, a pepperoni pizza with extra cheese. And that meant that they were going to be served up a small child to, get the adrenochrome from whatever the fuck that is. So much so that several people showed up at this pizza place heavily armed to save the children. Now, as altruistic as that may be, it was not true. None of that was facts. There was no dungeon. There was no basement. It didn't exist. There wasn't even a basement in the building. Even that fact could not shake those people's reality, okay? That there was child sex trafficking going on at this pizza joint. It's a conspiracy. They covered it up. They walled it off, right? When we talk about the fact that one of the many crimes that Scientology engages in is human trafficking, we have to be very exact. Now, I will give a tip of the cap to Aaron in the now down site. Hopefully it comes back, stopscientology.com. In part of his op-ed, he was talking about that specifically. And I've gone over this in previous videos, but I'll give the mechanics of it again. A lot of the trafficking occurs in the fake Space Navy, especially with people who come here on an R1 visa, the religious workers visa. Because once these foreign nationals come to America with whatever promise, of job that they're given, their passport and their visa is confiscated from them and held in a locked safe by the security department where they don't have access to it. They don't have access to their ID. They don't have access to their visa, to anything. And they are held captive. Now, part of that is also the doctrine that happens to every single person that joins the fake Space Navy. Okay. Now, we've gone over the staff contract before, okay? But I want to go over it again here. Just one important point. Because the other thing that keeps people, here we go. Oh, look at that. No, go back. I need to screenshot this. I'm so sorry. It's driving me nuts. It's an ad. Okay, thank you. Because it has all the points. Got it. Ha! Take that. Take that. Okay, let me share this. So every fake Space Navy member has to pledge their oath to the Sea Organization. Okay. And you recite this code, the code of a Sea Org member. It has 18 points. Okay. And particularly one of the points is, oh goodness, is what makes for the human trafficking, child trafficking to occur so regularly. Okay. And that is going to be, let me just skip to that one. Okay, so there's several points. So go over number 5. I promise to uphold the fact that duty is the Sea Org member's true motivation, which is the highest motivation there is. Okay. And point number 9, I promise to exemplify in my conduct the belief that to command is to serve, and that a being is only as valuable as he can serve others. Okay, so you're always putting yourself less. Always putting yourself less. Point number 11 is the real damning one. I promise to accept and fulfill to the utmost of my abilities the responsibilities entrusted to me, whatever they may be, and wherever they may carry me in the line of duty. Okay? Oh, that went away. Nope. That's not what I want to share. Stop. Why isn't it letting me share this screenshot? Interesting. Okay. So those are I'm gonna put this with my photos, add to photos, and then I can share it. Pajotos. Okay. So now it should let me. There we go. Now you guys can see it. Kind of better. There. There we go. Okay. So that's every single fake Space Navy member has to recite this over and over and over and over and over. Okay. And the further things here, I promise to come to the defense of the Sea Org and fellow Sea Org members whenever needed. Right. I promise to make things go right and to persist until they do. Right. So you have to, there's no way to not do these things. You're promising this every single day. You are saying this over and over and over. But particularly point number 11, I promise to accept and fulfill to the utmost of my ability the responsibilities entrusted to me, whatever they may be and wherever they may carry me in the line of duty. Okay. So in the example like that we've heard many, many times of the children who grew up in the fake Space Navy, like Lara and Jenna and other people, like Lara, when she was just, all the kids were separated into groups. And then she was just told, oh, by the way, you're going to Florida. And she was like, okay. She didn't have a choice. There was no way out of that. That's human trafficking. That's child trafficking. When Miriam Francis was assaulted by her own father, She was moved from one place to another. He was moved from one place to another. That's human trafficking. Okay. Um, we need to be more exact about that. Okay. Yes, inside those buildings, trafficked people exist. Okay. People without access to their documents, their identification documents, anything, they are trafficked. They have been trafficked to those places. They get passed around, they get shuffled around. That's all human trafficking. Okay. But we do need to understand the basics of what and why you're protesting. Okay. And if we're just outside to say negative things to the people in there, then that's not going to be good. Oh, that's correct. So right now, guys, so let me just end this off here because I don't want to belabor it. Laura FM right now is at the Public Works. Let me pull that up. I'm just seeing if Aaron's putting any. No one is putting an update on Aaron's channel, and I'm just checking one more time to see if any more updates have come to the court website. But the update is this: they put a motion in to get bond again for Aaron. That was denied. He will be remanded for the remainder of his trial. That's what's going on. But let's get it over here. I guess, are we on Audit Stream? Let's go to Audit LA. Is she live? Audit is not live, but Laura is live. Let's see. Is Laura live or no? No one's live. Who's there? Okay, well, we can call in. Let me Laura isn't live. Yeah, nobody's live. But if you guys want to call in to Public Works, let me open up this document. Here we go. Let me share that for you guys. It's not letting me share it. Okay, I'll post it later. Anyway, the agenda's here. You can go here. I can't copy that. Or you can call this number. Oh, this is the webinar link. There's a Zoom link if you guys want to call in. Mama Squirrel is okay. Antics of Mama Squirrel is streaming the meeting if you want to go look there. Guys, if you want to donate, Aaron's got a Give, Send, Go up. Feel free to donate there. You can still donate to his commissary. All that information is on Aaron's thing, but that is the latest. Aaron is remanded custody. I'm assuming that Natalie or Jenna or everybody will be going live on his channel later to give you, some more information. I'm sure they will talk to him. Perhaps he will call in and give an update as to what happened in court. But that is the latest and greatest that I have from the court website. I'm going to go try to call into this situation and see if I can give them some info. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you to the members who keep this stream alive. I appreciate you so much. Thank you to my mods, my lady mods who are the best in the business.